Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the brand new 2023 Disney Plus Lucasfilm original show, Mandalorian Season 3. So this picks up right after Book of Boba Fett Season 1. So we had Mando Season 1, we had Mando Season 2, we had Book of Boba Fett Season 1, now we have Mando Season 3, etc., right? We're revving up for the Ahsoka series. Like, bro, it's gonna be insane, insane. We get a live action Zeb Aurelius in this. Like for half a second, I was still freaking out. So this is a big season. Not many episodes, 8 episodes, as all the seasons are, but this is big. A lot happens, and I am so satisfied with that ending. It's just fantastic. So Mando and Grogu are going back to Tatooine, talking to Pelimoto to see how she can help in getting a, a droid to help, you know, search through Mandalore, right? And so she sells them R5D4, and then R5 just doesn't want to go to space. And it's just so funny watching the origins. That the first time we were introduced to R5, who's being sold to Luke and Owen for their farm alongside R2D2 and 3PO back in 77. And here we are all these decades later, and R5 is so relevant and so important within the story. He was such a big help at the very last episode, getting the barriers down, getting the schematics of the secret Imperial base on Mandalore. Bro, so many things happened. So, going from adventure to adventure, the plot of this, the main plot of this was how do you bring the two different factions of Mandalore together, right? Bo-Katan is no longer with any faction because the factions can't follow her anymore because she doesn't have the Darksaber, because Moff Gideon had the Darksaber. Moff Gideon was supposed to be taken by the New Republic, sent to trial, but he was taken, with he was not salvaged. He was taken off of a shuttle ship. Why is there Mandalorian Beskar, within the ship as well? So you think, of course, some Mandalorian is a spy, which we never actually get a full answer for that. But he's been helped, and he found that he can create an ultimate dark soldier out of using Beskar, which is the element only found on Mandalore, to then make the outfits, to make the armor, get his Praetorian guards covered in that as well, get himself covered in that as well. So it still begs the question, who's making the armor? I don't actually know. And they haven't talked about it, so that was a nice little... Is there still a spy among them, potentially, within the Mandalore group? So you have the Creed Mandalorians, you had Bo-Katan's, bounty hunting, guns for hire Mandalorians. They do eventually come together. They do go back to Mandalore. They do try to salvage and save. And, the question is, how are these other Mandalorians still on the planet and hiding all these years later? Things, right? So now there's 3 different factions of Mandalore coming together to unite Mandalore again. So that's why the last episode was called The Return. It's the return of Mandalore, right? So as this is happening, Grogu is still training. He's training to be a Mandalorian. He's still using Force stuff. The episode where Bryce Dallas Howard directed, which had Din, Djarin, Bo-Katan Kryze, and Lady Bo-Katan Kryze, and Grogu go to visit one of these Mandalorian for hire locations, which was on the outskirts of this domed city that's very to themselves. But they're using battle droids to do their day-to-day stuff, so they don't have to work. So you have Lizzo as the queen of this city, of this land. You have Jack Black as the ex-imperial general turned king of this land, my lord, my lady. And then you have Christopher Lloyd as the bad guy scientist throughout this city as well, who actually put a bug in the program to make some battle droids go cuckoo and kill people, and then keep everyone on their toes, because Count Dooku had it correct, and he was a separatist this entire time. And you're like, bro, we're going all the way to the beginning. And it was so cool, because the little dialogue that Bo and Din had, her asking something, and Din saying, "You had me at battle droids," bro. It was so memed after that, and it was just such an incredible show. It is an incredible show, but that episode was just so incredible, especially with Grogu getting knighted at the end. So then he was, of course, Sir Grogu. And they're welcome anytime back. So I want more adventures with the battle droids in that city, because that was just so cool. It was fluff. It wasn't supposed to be anything overly dramatic. It was just there, and it worked. It was really cool. So having other adventures, Din getting trapped by this spider droid upon originally searching Mandalore to see if it was still livable, Bo helping him with the Darksaber, her getting the Darksaber back, them explaining everything in regards to getting the factions together, going back to Mandalore. A lot of questions were answered. A lot of questions were not answered. New questions we got were unanswered. But bro, when Zeb appeared on the screen in that New Republic, tavern that they have in that hideout, I was freaking out. I was like, oh, what's going on? Because now we have the trailer for Ahsoka coming out, so we're getting the live action Rebels characters, and I cannot wait. Chopper, the R1 droid, has the most confirmed canon kills within the Star Wars universe. He has over like 500,000 kills or something like that. And I can't wait to see that spazzy, crazy droid twitching his brains out and just screaming constantly. I hope Dave Filoni is the voice of him again, because I know he was doing the voice for Chopper back in the day with the show. But I cannot wait to see him flying around and killing everybody, because he's Chop. He's just what he does. He chops. He's just great. So at the end, with Din Djarin stating that he's going to adopt Grogu, that Grogu is not a foundling anymore. He's his apprentice, but the only way to be his apprentice is if he's his son. So, because he doesn't have parents to actually speak for him. So by adopting him, he can speak on behalf of his own son. And then Grogu is now Din Grogu, but he's also Sir. So he's Sir Din Grogu. Bro, the names just keep adding, and it's just so cool. I should have had a Grogu with me. I didn't take the brand. I got him on my shirt, but it's very interesting watching this as a series, because you don't even need to know anything about previous Star Wars stuff to understand the story that's presented to you. And that's what's great about storytelling. That's what's great about Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni working together to create this, because they give a coherent, plot-pointed story, leading to some questions answered, leading to some questions unanswered. The whole Coruscant spy who's a double agent thing was just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, exploring Coruscant. Certain parts of this story don't have to focus just on Din. That the Mandalorian story is not just about one singular Mandalorian. It's about a lot of people. It's a lot of it's a lot of not Force sensitive people. So to have Grogu coming about with all his Force stuff here and there, it's very interesting, because he's still Force sensitive. So it's a matter of who else is Force sensitive, who else is hiding, who else is training. I'm sure Ahsoka's series is going to go into that further, which is great. But it's also cool to see what the other regular people do in their day-to-day. What do the mechanics do? What do the pirates do? There was a whole pirate and warlord story arc that we explored in the beginning and middle of this, going to Navarro as well, with Grand Admiral Grieva. Wonderful. There's just so many things that are... That's why Andor is a great series too, because it's not about Jedi and it's not about the Sith. It's not about the Force. It's about real people figuring out how to work in the day-to-day as the universe is crumbling around them, within certain different factions, within certain Imperial versus Rebel, within the middle chunk of the story, within Resistance versus Force Order in the last chunk of the series. It's versus Republic versus Separatists in the beginning of the series. So it's great to see what the normal people are doing, how they're surviving, what they're doing to fight. How do you fight if you don't have these Force abilities, right? What if you're not good with a weapon? What do you do? So the Andor series is incredible because of that. We talked about that. Mandalorian series is incredible because the Mandalorians, yes, are very well-trained individuals, but there's a lot of people within the story of this season in particular that have nothing to do with fighting, have nothing to do with Force, have nothing to do with Jedi versus Sith, have nothing to do with Republic versus Imperial. What are the day-to-day people doing? How are they surviving? What are they doing to thrive? What are they doing to live? And we see some of that, and it's so cool. It's so cool seeing the normies do their normie stuff within this gigantic Star Wars universe. So, long live Sir Din Grogu and his father, Din Djarin. I really hope, and of course this is me just fawning over two incredible characters, I really hope Din Djarin and Bo-Katan get together at the end. That would be an incredible power couple. But again, in hindsight, they don't have to be together. they can do their own thing. They can be as ace as they want and just rule the galaxies on their own terms and fight side by side whenever it's needed. I know that it was announced at the Star Wars convention in London today, not today, recently within the month, that they're amping up the stories of the shows to a finale movie. So whatever the main story of getting Thrawn together, because Thrawn is mentioned in this a couple times. What is he doing behind the scenes? What is he amping up for? I think that final movie is going to be what that all is pushing towards. So it's going to be interesting seeing that. It's going to be interesting seeing season 4 and 5 of Mando. It's going to be interesting if we get a second season of Book of Boba Fett. They haven't even announced that yet. I have a feeling they're going to announce that come the May 5th celebrations. But bro, insane. Just so cool. Just so many things happen, and it's just such a visually gorgeous show. My goodness, the space battling and the camera pans and the swooping and it. Whew, love it. Love it all. Love Ludwig's music. Love the show. Love my Mandalorian. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.